Before I begin this video, I would like to start with a quick content warning, as this video will include discussions of real-world topics such as the right to die and disability advocacy. Feel free to express your opinions down in the comments, but please be sure to be respectful of others, as this is a deeply personal topic for many people. Few of the quests Geralt undertakes in White Orchard have a lasting impact beyond the starting area. But one that does is On Death's Bed, a quest that the White Wolf can pick up while he's after the griffin that's been terrorizing the region. Though the quest is brief, with a resolution that might even be difficult for some players to find, it still manages to present Geralt with a moral quandary that rages to this day in our own world, a debate that once took center stage in American politics. Who has the right to make decisions involving a person's health and well-being, in the event that person is not in a position to do so? How do we protect the rights of people with disabilities, while also giving individuals a right to make their own medical decisions? Is every life a life worth living? In On Death's Bed, The Witcher 3 proves that it is a game capable of engaging in thought-provoking, complicated debates that clearly and obviously reference real-life dilemmas. And it does so while doing what any good intellectual exercise should: force you to question and reckon with the consequences of your own established views. But before I go on, if you are a Witcher fan, then please be sure to like, subscribe, and consider supporting me over on Patreon or with a YouTube channel membership. My dream is to leave the path of teaching and make these videos full-time someday, and by doing any of those things, you'll be helping make that dream a reality. During his quest to slay the griffin, the beast of White Orchard, Geralt will eventually find his way to Tamira, the local herbalist. There, he'll learn about Lena, a woman who was attacked by the griffin while she was out in the woods one night. The White Wolf criticizes her actions, questioning why someone would do something so foolish during wartime, until he finds out that she went out that night to meet with her beloved. Safe to say that Geralt understands that motivation, given the many things we've seen him do just so he can be used by a sorceress. I mean, the many things we've seen him do in the name of love. Anyway, after assessing the situation, Geralt concludes that he could brew up a Witcher potion, a swallow, to heal her. Lena's condition is grim. She's got blood on the brain and internal injuries. Only something as powerful and as fast-acting as a Witcher's potion can save her. But Witcher's potions aren't made for humans. Drinking it will heal her wounds, but could leave her with lasting, permanent damage. At this point, Lena's fate is entirely in Geralt's hands. Should he walk away from this one, allowing Lena to die a peaceful death, soothed by Tamira's concoctions? Or should he give her a potion that will save her life, but might leave her permanently disabled? Whatever your answer is, it's probably a deeply personal one, no doubt tied to some of your most strongly held beliefs about topics like life, death, and religion. But before we get into all that, let's take a look at the potential outcomes of this quest, because they're closely tied to where we're going with all this. If Geralt doesn't brew the potion, the outcome is straightforward. At some point after he leaves White Orchard, she'll die, and Tamira will inform him the next time they see each other. But if he does brew the potion, Tamira will administer it to her, and give Geralt a reward for helping Lena. It's noteworthy that following both of these choices, Tamira will make her own opinion on the matter abundantly clear. She thinks Geralt should give her the potion, no matter the cost. We can't consult Lena herself on this matter, nor her family, or even the man she went into the woods to meet. All we have to go off of here is Geralt's knowledge of the side effects of Witcher potions, and Tamira's desire to see her patient survive, which makes deciding what to do here all the more difficult. If Geralt returns to White Orchard after giving Lena the potion, he'll follow up on her condition. Tamira will inform the White Wolf that she survived, but was taken by the Nilfgaardians sometime later. Geralt asks why, but the herbalist is without answers. The resolution to On Death's Bed remains on ice for some time, until Geralt pays a visit to the Nilfgaardian camp in Velen. It's quite a bit out of his way, and houses nothing but side quests. Good ones, sure, but still, it's so far removed from the rest of Velen that I'd wager that most players probably never end up checking it out, and thus never get to see the consequences of their decision to give Lena the potion. Upon his arrival in the camp, Geralt will be greeted by a Nilfgaardian soldier, who will reveal that he is Lena's lover, the man she'd ventured into the woods to meet when she was attacked by the Griffin. Meeting in secret was necessary, he explains, as her parents threatened to shave her head and cut out her tongue if they caught her with a Nilfgaardian man. As gruesome as it is, there's some historical precedent here, as women who collaborated with Nazis during World War II had their heads publicly shaved at the end of the conflict. The soldier goes on to explain that although Lena has indeed survived, she is yet to fully recover. The soldier took her with him when he was transferred, hoping a change of scenery would benefit her. But unfortunately, it hasn't. The Witcher potion may have saved Lena's life, but just as Geralt forewarned, it took its toll on her. Now, she doesn't speak, doesn't recognize anyone, and spends most of the day sleeping. We don't get anything more specific than that, but it's enough to say that Lena is now, to some degree, disabled, especially by the standards of the Witcher world. At that point, Geralt makes it clear that he was aware of the risks, and shared them with Tamira. In response, the soldier says that he's unsure if he should thank Geralt or curse him for not allowing Lena to die with dignity. The use of this phrase stands out to me, as it certainly hints that her condition is probably worse than he's letting on. In response, Geralt tells him that the choice he was forced to make was far more difficult, a phrase that the White Wolf could probably say just about every day of his life, if we're being honest. This ends the events of On Death's Bed, but it's just the beginning of our exploration of the issue at hand here. As an American who came of age during the late 90s and early 2000s, it's impossible for me to play this quest without thinking of Terri Schiavo. For the uninitiated, Terri Schiavo was a woman who went into cardiac arrest at her home in 1990 and was successfully resuscitated at the scene. But tragically, she suffered severe brain damage during the ordeal, and doctors diagnosed her as being in a persistent vegetative state. For the next several years, doctors attempted various types of therapies to try and return her to a state of awareness, all with little success. After nearly a decade, Terri's husband Michael petitioned to have her feeding tube removed, arguing that Terri would not want to be kept alive in such a state. Her parents countered, arguing that this viewpoint conflicted with Terri's Roman Catholic faith, which opposes euthanasia. For the next several years, as Michael and Terri's parents fought over her future in court, the case garnered significant media attention, until it became one of the most hot-button political issues of its day. Upon reviewing the situation, one of the things that stands out to me is the fact that the debate did not split along party lines. Terri's parents were supported by conservatives like American President George W. Bush and the Vatican, but also Democrats like Reverend Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, while disability rights advocates and the pro-life movement joined forces to champion their cause. On the other side, Michael's case drew backing from the American Civil Liberties Union, a network of liberal lawyers, as well as some Republicans, like Congressman Bob Barr, who argued that the federal government had no right to intervene in such a personal, private matter, particularly one that, in his view, fell under the jurisdiction of the states. The judge in the case, George Greer, who ultimately sided with Michael, was also a conservative, and was essentially forced to leave his church over his decision in the case. I was just a kid at the time of the Schiavo case, but I vividly recall the debate about her future and the split nature of the issue playing out in my own home. My parents could not disagree more politically. My mother is a Democrat who hated Reagan before it was cool, while my dad is a dyed-in-the-wool conservative. And yet, their opinions on the matter bucked the trends of their party allegiances. My mother, a lifelong special education teacher, supported Schiavo's parents from a disability rights perspective, while my father was adamant that if he were in Terri's case, he would want his feeding tube removed. Needless to say, their opinions on this matter not only function in opposition to each other, but their party affiliation as well. Ultimately, Terri's feeding tube was removed. 3 days later, she died at the age of 41. Her case is remembered as a landmark event in the world of both disability advocacy and right to die, and has led to the popularization of living wills, documents that make an individual's opinion on the issue, should they end up in a situation like Terri's, absolutely clear. But if the Terri Schiavo case were to take place again today, without all of the precedent that's come from it, would the wide-ranging opinions opinions that defied political allegiance be any different? The late 90s and early 2000s were a much different time in our country, especially as far as political polarization and tribalism is concerned. But honestly, I think it would be pretty similar, aside from the fact that you'd likely see a few more Republicans supporting Michael and a few more Democrats siding with Terri's parents. All of this is to say that the questions posed in the Terri Schiavo case and here in On Death's Bed are questions that remain as complicated and as difficult to answer here in 2023 as they were back in 1998. Between the nature of the quest itself and the Nilfgaardian soldiers' use of the phrase "die with dignity," it's clear to me that CD Projekt Red is deliberately alluding to this polarizing real-world debate and recreating it in the confines of a fantasy world. On a professional level, I commend the developers for doing so with such grace, for referencing this controversial issue without making it feel forced or out of place. And I commend them just as much for portraying both sides authentically, and as I said earlier, forcing the player to reckon with the consequences of their decision, no matter what they do. If you don't help Lena, then you're called out by Tamara, an incredibly likable character, and forced to wonder if, in a fantasy world where magic abounds, you made a mistake by not trying to save her. If she would have wanted to keep on living, no matter the cost. If you do help Lena, then you're called out by her lover, and forced to reckon with the reality that she might not have wanted to live in her current condition. And perhaps worse yet, wonder if her lover is up for the task of caring for her new needs. Ultimately, this quest is a small step on Geralt's journey, but it begins to prepare you for many of the other moral dilemmas in the game, as the player will soon find at the end of the Bloody Baron and Reason's Estate. And that's what makes On Death's Bed such an important quest in The Witcher 3. Thanks for watching. Huge shout out to my Witcher collaborator Ellen Storm for allowing me to use her covers from the game's soundtrack for these videos. You can check out all of Ellen's awesome music by following the link in the description box. Special thanks to my Silver Tier subscribers, including James Pruitt, who get early access to these videos thanks to donations of $5 a month. Next week, I'll be heading back to Night in the Woods to release my long-awaited video on Lori M. Can't wait for that one. In the meantime, be sure to check out The Deepman Files, a paranormal mystery podcast I help with and will be writing an episode for later this season. You can check out all of the episodes from The Deepman Files by following the link down in the description box. See you guys next Friday.